Welcome back to Happy Chappy. So today we have something I heard, I believe it was yesterday, and something Jesus said. And that was to be like me, not to follow me. I'm going to give you an explanation from my point of view. To be like Jesus is to honor oneself, connection with the Father, Source, the nameless, that creates all in light. And in that light, you find you, I, all of consciousness. It can see, but also the possibilities in all that can't be seen. And so this was within Jesus, as Jesus connected to that light. Now, for you to follow Jesus would mean to do all that he does. But that's not what he said. He said to be like him. Jesus done what was for him to do, to connect to that light of the Father, the nameless one. So Jesus could become nameless, yet as a physical being we see him as Jesus Christ. And so to be like Jesus, we must look within. Not out here to follow, which is what the world does. It creates us to follow. What's it called? Consuming. And so while we do that, we are discarding who we are in here. And we're not doing what Jesus said to do, to be like him. We're doing what he told us not to do, follow. And so when I say follow, you get the likes of a Bible, religion. And we go to these places with readings from the Bible and representations and metaphors of what had happened with Jesus Christ. And so people follow that, follow the Lord in that way by praying, preaching of Jesus Christ. Yet never take an action for oneself. It's always looked at what Jesus done, in a separation that no one else could do. But if you truly read the Bible, now I haven't, but I know enough out of the Bible to understand Jesus. Not the apostles, not what anyone else said, but Jesus. How he lived his life and the things that he was supposedly to say. And reflecting back into my own life, to live my life in that way, to do what's best for me, to be like Jesus, not to follow Jesus. And by being like Jesus, I'm doing what's best for me and my connection to the Father, the light of all. And in that, things work out for me. I am truly blessed. I've went through many of patterns that could be seen as struggles or hardship or seen as a negative in life. But there were like stepping stones. And in between them stepping stones, there was a big fall of darkness underneath, where there seemed to be no end, just pure darkness. But as I stepped through the stones, all I seen was crystals surrounding me, like in a crystal cave of beautiful light. And I could focus on the darkness beneath me, or I could focus on the light and how beautiful it was, and keep walking, which is what I done. And in this, it kept me in power of the darkness. It kept me above the darkness. And so I learned to have that connection with the light. The light within me. The light that was in Jesus. The light he was trying to show us how to get to. By being you. By being like Jesus. But not following Jesus. Following his ways. Looking within. Connecting to God. Not following others. Using his heart. Being compassionate. Caring for others. Loving others. But also, most importantly, loving himself. To take himself to them places of peace alone with God, while listening to what God had to tell him from within. And so, Jesus became Christ. something that's within you, something that is within everyone. But you can't have that when you follow a way. As that way would be somebody else's way. And when you start that pattern, someone else joins in. Then people start to believe that they're in their own way when they never sit down to think. Which brings me to meditation. Sitting alone in peace. I can sit for an example 3 to 5 minutes. And what you would do in work, and this is just an example, in a year, I'd have learnt all that within them 3 to 5 minutes. It's not that I learn fast. It's not that I'm any better than anyone else. Far from it. But I connect to the light. And I let my ego go. And so doing that takes practice. And how you do that is sitting alone with oneself, observing the mind, not judging it, just observing it. And when you start to learn and understand your own mind and seeing what's going on, you start to see why you do what you do, and where you learned what you learned, and why you learned what you learned. And you start to see who you are, and how everything that you do is not you. And so you can begin to learn to switch off that thinking. Switch off that thinking that's overpowering who you are by how you feel towards that way of thinking. And when you start to recognize this, you start to recognize who you are and what you want. And so you start to create thoughts to set out to do what is best for you, coming from in here and not out here, but using out here to enhance what's in here to appear. And so it starts to be you taking control of who you are, and not the world controlling you to be something someone else wants you to be. By you following them. That's not to say we don't follow things. We can follow things, but understanding what we're doing and having control of who we are is the priority. Because if you don't, you're caught up in habits, addictions, to take control of who you are. And some things you might not see as addictions, but life is an addiction. Everything outside of us is an addiction that we grab hold on to get a feeling within here. Within here. Within you. You take something outside of you to feel in here. Something that you already have in here. You don't need what's out here. You've got it in here. And once you recognize it's in here, you can capture that feeling. Bring it about in everything that you see out here. And so you're able to control and see what's best for you out here, instead of everything out here controlling your feelings in here, making you believe in here that this is what's best for you out here. Well, it's an illusion, because it's all coming from in here. But once you take control of in here, being like Jesus, not following, taking that time to sit alone with God, the Father, the light, the Creator, the Source, then you start to see who you are. You start to see how that space that you hold as body holds memories, thoughts, feelings that are connected to everything out here. But when you came into this world, you were nothing but light. You weren't them thoughts, you weren't them feelings, you were just light. And all you could see was light, because that's what you were. You were in your purest form. And if you could go back to that light, you would start to see all that you've learnt as came from out here, tricking you into being in a certain way, so you can feel that you fit into somewhere with everything out here. Yet never fitting in here, always feeling that you don't fit, because you're not being honest to who you are. You're hiding who you are with everything out here. You're using your feelings toward, or giving your feelings, having it harvest out of you to the things that's outside of you, instead of embracing them feelings within you and then enjoying the world by observing, but not connecting, not being attached to anything, but who you are in that light. And so that's how I see Jesus Christ was, and in what he said, to be like him, not to follow him, to be like him, to be who we're meant to be, to open up to who we are, to be in our truth, not to fit into the world and how the world wants us to fit in and how we see it to be, but to be who we are in our purest form. And in that, what you will find is not everybody's going to like you, but you will. You will like you. You will love you. And you will be happy with you. But till then, you'll always be up, down, all around, here, there, and everywhere, looking for that love for yourself through things that's outside of you, until you sit and learn to love oneself. And that will come with giving your time, connecting to the Father, the light, the source, whatever you want to put on it. Your Creator. Until then, you need to start to manage yourself to get to that point. And like anything that we learn in life or remember, it takes time. Now, if I asked you to focus on your most happiest memory, I'm sure you would be able to bring up something in your mind. But if I say this to you every couple of hours for several days in a row, what you will find is the more you focus on it, the more you're going to be aware, as if it was here right now, in how you felt. And you're going to be able to capture that feeling. And no matter what's going on around you, you're going to feel like you were in that moment again. Because you're focusing and you're practicing and you're doing it repeatedly. And the more you do it, the more you will feel that it is real. Because it is real. It happened. You felt it. You've just forgot about it. You forgot how to feel that way. And you can go back to feel that way at any time once you practice. But if you're not practicing and you're being captured by everything out here, then you're lost in your thoughts. Your thoughts are scattered. You're here, you're there, you're everywhere. You have to do this, you have to do that. Something else that you'll have to do tomorrow, and you're thinking about that way ahead of what you have to do now. And then you're thinking about things that you've done and you're not happy with what you've done. And you're never thinking about what's in here and what's best for in here. And so once you start to practice and focus on what's best for in here, and that will take by loving oneself, being kind to oneself, and happy thoughts, what makes you happy, and what would make you happy getting to the destination of the person that you want to be. How would that person be? And start with something that you've already been through that made you happy, so you can sense and feel what that feeling was like and where it is in the body and how it moves through the body, and put that into your memory. And the more you remember about it, the more you will see it. And then what you've seen from what you've been through and how you've captured that feeling, change the scene to that scene of the person that you want to be. And hold on to that feeling and bring that feeling to this person that you want to be, and practice being that person that you want to be by feeling in the feeling of what that person would be like in that happy feeling, and adding to that person whatever it would be in their life, being happy in here at the same time. That's what Jesus was saying. And in that, he was being the best in who he could be. And then he could be the best in who he could be to others. Now, if he wasn't being the best in who he could be, he wasn't sharing himself in true form to love one another, as the saying is. How could you love another if you can't love oneself? You don't truly love them. You say you love them because that's what everybody says. I love you. Or thank you. I love you. Oh, that's great. Do you mean it? Do you love yourself? And I've heard people say, yes, I love myself. What are you talking about? Things like that. And then I see them doing things and being depressed and crying, upset. And I'm thinking, but you're not doing anything to manage that. You're not doing anything to improve that. How can you say that you love yourself? You're wallowing in things that's happening out here and damaging this here. And you say that you love yourself? Once you learn to love yourself, out here won't affect you. Well, it will affect you, but you will be able to manage it. You'll be able to put into a wee box and throw it into the bin and move on. Being happy and loving and caring and in peace with who you are, so you can bring that to the table to whoever else you interact with. But you will also notice what other people bring to your table. And when they bring darkness, well, you can give it right back. And still box it up and hand it to them with the darkness they brought to you. And once you hand that box back, you can still move on in your happy, loving and joyful self, being true to who you are. Because you're not taking hold of their darkness to carry along with you so it could feed off your light. You're being true to who you are, in true love, loving oneself. And by giving back the darkness to the person who was bringing it to your table, that's true love. You're showing them their darker side and something that they need to change about them so they can love oneself, while you are loving who you are. As I say, this is how I see Jesus was trying to show us the way. Not to follow him, but to be like him. Honest, kind, loving, at peace. That starts with being in here with how you're feeling about oneself. And then you can bring it out to the world in your truth. Of course, this is just my view. You'll have your own. And that's what you will use with, if you've got this far, with my teaching of what I know. And you will bring that together and you will make something of it. Whether you use it to benefit you or not will be down to you. Not me. You. And what you feel is best for you. If you want to improve in who you are, then you might find this valuable to you. If you don't want to improve in who you are and you're happy in who you are, you probably haven't got this far yet. And you probably won't have found yourself. But I pray you have. So this is just my view. Make use of it in a way that is beneficial to you. Maybe use some of that focusing that you do on you and not the world outside of you, which is so easy to do. We live in it in every moment, but we also live every moment in here, and we feel towards every moment. And it's our duty to honor our Creator, to be happy in here, so we can enjoy everything out here. This happy chapter, love and peace.